and welcome to another Arsecast Extra, as always, with James from Gunnerblog. James, good morning to you from good afternoon here.
Oh, thank you very much, Andrew, and for laying out that time difference so beautifully. I do get confused. I frequently catch myself Googling time in UK to sort of try and ascertain whether it's appropriate to call my family or not.
Yeah, it does get a bit weird, but you just need to add where you're Chicago, so add 6.
Yeah, but once it goes past 12, I lose track. Do you know what I mean? Like the midday.
It goes back to
shift
1. Goes back to 1.
You know. I can't. I'm a decimal guy, Andrew. I can't get my head around that.
Are you a 24-hour clock guy? Like on your phone, is your?
What a good question. Yeah, I am a 24-hour clock guy, so I guess I've got no excuse. I feel like 12-hour clock is bigger here in America. That's one of my observations. Whenever I say like a 24-hour clock time, people look at me like I'm in the army.
But you never tell that the time. If someone asks you the time, you never say it's 15:13.
I do. 17:38, sir! Like that. That's how I say it.
Is that how you do it? Okay. Fair enough. No wonder people are looking at you askance.
Are you in a heat wave in Dublin?
We're not in a heat wave per se. I know that there's going to be a heat wave in London, and I think everyone...
A lot of talk about that.
Yeah, I think everyone is, from what I hear, everyone's going to die in this heat wave.
I heard that's why the Prime Minister resigned, because...
It's too hot?
There's no aircon in number 10.
Right.
And he was like, I'm sick of this.
Fuck this shit.
Yeah. He's like, I've got to wear a suit, and there's no aircon. Get me out of here.
Well, listen, we're not getting the sort of crazy heat that there's going to be in London, because here it's going to be like 40 degrees, maybe. I think I saw that earlier. So that's very, very hot. That's too hot for London, for sure. I've been in 40 degrees in Bilbao, and it didn't feel like 40 degrees. But I wouldn't like to do 40 degrees in London. It's just, it has a very particular heat. London, doesn't
It's terrible.
Yeah,
it's terrible. But it's not designed for it.
We are getting some good weather, though. I mean, it's 22 degrees right now, and tomorrow in Dublin, getting up as far as 27 degrees feels like 28 degrees. So that for here now, that's as good as it gets, really. So I'm going to try and make the most of it this week and spend some time outside.
Chicago. Problem is here, when people tell me the weather here, never mind 24-hour clock.
Fahrenheit.
They tell me, which I don't know how you get it. Double it? I think you double it. That's that's how I work it out.
Double it and add 30 gives you the ballpark figure of what, Celsius to Fahrenheit.
Right. Okay.
So, 22 Celsius, if you double that, 44, 74, thereabouts. I think it's around that,
So, yeah, it's like 21, 22 degrees here. It's very mild here comparatively.
Right. But it's early in the day, so maybe it'll pick up.
Maybe. But, listen, I'm happy that it's mild. I'm happy that it's mild. Yeah. I've got to just jump in quickly and say, because a lot of people have messaged me, I haven't had the deep dish pizza yet.
Oh, okay.
I know a lot of people are waiting for my review. If you want to know what happened, Carl Anka went for deep dish pizza without me. It was a difficult moment in our relationship.
Don't look back in Anka, James. Did he just ditch you? Did he? I mean, literally just...
No. It was kind of like, I don't think he knew how important it was to me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
It wasn't cruel. It wasn't callous. He just sent me a picture of himself, of him at the deep dish pizza place, and I immediately burst into tears. And we had a heart-to-heart about it, and we've moved on, we've moved forward. Okay. But I've not taken myself yet, so
you haven't been able.
That's still to be ticked off.
Okay. Well, this is good. You're teasing it out. You're going to be there for another couple of weeks anyway, so you don't want to give them all the good content this early in the summer. We'll tease this out until such point as it becomes a massive anticlimax when you do have it.
The problem is, everyone local is like, the deep dish thing is a myth. You should have the thin crust pizza. That's what it's all about. But, I've promised the listeners a review of the deep dish, so it will happen. But of course, having not done it, Andrew, we have no choice but to talk about football.
Okay, well, there we go. Listen, we have a history of food reviews on this podcast. By the way, this is episode number 700. Nice round number.
Wow.
Yeah, 700. But I do remember, was it you or me? I think it was me, because I'd never eaten Nando's, and I went to Nando's and we did a review of Nando's on one of the episodes.
I mean, Andrew, I haven't been on all the podcasts.
That's true.
It's roughly 40 days of talking.
Is that all? Feels like more.
700 podcasts times an hour and a half, roughly, is about 1,000 hours.
Okay. What's that in 24-hour clock?
24,000 hours.
That's six decades of something.
Yeah.
It's a lot
I got served a video. I don't know what platform I was on. One of the bad ones, I would say. And it was this guy arguing with the idea that 1 times 1 is 1. He was like, "You're living a lie, man. What does multiplication mean? To multiply. So you're telling me 1 multiplied by 1 is just 1? Come on, man.
That's what they want you to think.
Take the red pill." Yeah, exactly.
He's getting it in the neck from Big Two.
Yeah, he had a lot of views, this guy. And I was like, the world is fucked. The world is really fucked. But anyway, 40 odd days, give or take, we've been on this podcast.
There you go. Thankfully, it's been spread out rather than like, didn't Jesus do 40 days and nights in the desert?
Pretty much, yeah. I don't know what point he was trying to make. I think it was about Arsenal winning the Premier League.
I think so. He was going, one day there'll be this thing called podcasts.
And lo, they did podcast for 40 days and 40 nights. And in the end, Arsenal did win the Premier League.
Yes, I remember that bit. That bit was good. I'm still enjoying that bit, I have to say.
And lo, it was good.
It was good.
What about, Andrew, Arsenal Football Club? Is there anything to say about them?
I don't think so. I'm just
not if you're not interested in Jeremy Monga.
Yeah.
If you like Jeremy Monga, we've got some stuff for you.
Well, I'm just looking back on Arseblog News just to see what's been going on. And, we're lucky, we're blessed in that we're not obliged to post anything. We don't have advertising on the site, so we're not dependent on advertising revenue, so we don't have to post and we don't have to do it that way. So the only time we post anything is when something is happening or when something is, worth talking about. And last time we posted something was the 19th of June, which was on Friday, which is when the new fixtures came out. That is about the most recent news that there is pertaining to Arsenal Football Club. That isn't some kind of, bullshit transfer stuff,
Yeah. I mean, that is actual news because they're actual football matches that
will take place.
We will have to play. Yeah. Any big, hot, spicy takes on the fixture list?
The Friday night, what do you make of a Friday night start? The champions at home on a Friday night against newly promoted Coventry City. I still have some scars from 1993, I think it was, when we played Coventry on the opening day, and Mickey Quinn, a guy who looked like he failed an audition for Brookside, scored a hat-trick at Highbury and we lost 3-0. But maybe enough time has passed for that not to be relevant to this particular
Frank Lampard's Coventry City as well.
Yeah.
I quite like that.
Yeah. Do you think Jamie Carragher and Gary Neville will be itching to do a dance on the sidelines?
Yeah, I'm sure they will. Yeah. But we're the home team, so what are they going to be? Singing North London Forever? Yeah. I doubt it.
Yeah, Gary Neville can wear his Arsenal shirt that Josh Kroenke gave him,
That's true. That would be nice. I quite like opening against a newly promoted team. It feels fresh, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I also think it's potentially, a very winnable, a former club for Victor Gyökeres as well, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
But potentially a very winnable opener ahead of what I think is a slightly tricky start. I think the next 4 league games after that could have been kinder, I would say.
Yes.
Because we go to Villa Park, which I feel like we always do early on these days.
Except last season we didn't. It was in December.
Yeah. No, but apart from that, always, of course.
Yeah, apart from that, always.
Then we host Chelsea. God knows what Chelsea will be, but that's a big game.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2 away trips to Sunderland and Brighton, which I think are challenging stadiums to visit. So yeah, I think the Coventry is a good sort of starter ahead of some slightly trickier ones.
Yeah. I mean, listen, you've got to factor in the cup competitions and the European competitions as well to really get a full sort of understanding of how this schedule is going to play out. But look,
That's true.
It is interesting to consider, isn't it? Because I think, home game to start, that's nice. But as you say, there's some tricky ones following that. And then, of course, we are dealing with that very particular thing of a World Cup summer. And
exactly
many of our players being away. And also quite a few of them dealing with injury. Did you read Declan Rice talking about the injuries that he's been dealing with?
Neural pain. Yes.
Yeah, neural pain. I don't like the sound of that. That's more than regular pain,
Yes, exactly. It tends to be longer term and more persistent.
Yes.
And he's not the only one, by the way. Saka obviously has just rejoined full England training. Odegaard has been talking about, I think, pain in his knee across the season. So there's a number of Arsenal players.
Saliba? William Saliba
is dealing with a chronic back issue.
Don't say chronic. That made my heart hurt. I don't like that word at all, especially with regards to William Saliba. Just, I think ongoing, please. Correct.
Ongoing, okay.
Ongoing.
I think in medical terms, doctors say things are chronic if they're like more than 6 to 8 weeks. So there you go. It doesn't have to be too scary. But I think, there's like a number of Arsenal players who clearly have been dealing with issues. And I think it raises some very interesting questions about quite how much rest we're able to give them when they finish this World Cup.
That's right. Declan Rice said something along the lines of, it's, you've got the pain, but you play through it. And Saliba was like, yeah, I'm playing through pain, but then that doesn't make me special or anything. Lots of players are playing through pain, and that's something that they have to deal with. But Rice was like, you've got to push through it. You get to the Champions League final. You win the Premier League, so it's worth it. And then you're going to the World Cup. And then at the end, we'll get a rest. And you're like, will you though? Like, genuinely, will you get a rest? Because if England go to semi-finals or the final, it's barely a month until the new season starts. You are going to need some holidays. You are going to need, some rest. But it's tough. For managers, it is tough, and obviously very tough for the players themselves to push themselves that hard. I always feel like, and I could be completely wrong here, but I'm sure everybody's done this to some extent or another. But do you ever go through like a really busy period in your life, and then afterwards, like you've got a big project or you've got something to finish, you've got a deadline, whatever it is, and you work harder and you work later and you do all that stuff, and then at the end of it, you kind of have this crash, right?
Yes, I mean,
yeah,
you kind of just experienced one of those.
That's
not
true.
To make it too personal.
That is true. Yeah. So I do wonder if for the players, even with the best intentions, to get to the end of this season, get to the end of the World Cup, and say, right, I'll have a 2-week break, and then I'll be ready to go. Get back to preseason training. They might have to deal with stuff that is a little bit out of their control, where they might actually need more rest than is feasible because of the schedule and because of the demands of the modern game for the very, very top players.
I think that's right. And I think I kind of hope that the Arsenal lineup for that game against Coventry has a bit of an unfamiliar look to it. I think some of these players will desperately need that rest. Not necessarily your Miguel Almiron's or your Kai Havertz, who are sort of still working their way back from relatively long layoffs, but people like Declan Rice, Bukayo Saka, William Saliba, who knows, maybe Gabriel if Brazil can kind of get their act together. I really hope they're given a substantial layoff. I think it's really impressive and creditable, their willingness to play through the pain, and it's understandable that they would do so when there was quite so much at stake for Arsenal in that run-in. But I think that they have to look at the bigger picture here and think, we need to make sure we are available at the business end of the season again. And if we get this return to action wrong, if we don't have a sufficient layoff, if we don't get enough rest, we run the risk of having a really, really tough season next year, which could be peppered with further injuries.
Yeah.
There's a degree to which I think that is just unavoidable, Andrew. I think that we will see the repercussions of this extraordinarily long season wrought across the Premier League next season. But I think it's obviously incumbent on Arsenal to do as much as they can to mitigate against that. And, we've got a new club doctor coming in and some new physios, and that will be their remit.
Yeah. Yeah. It has to be part of the way the club are planning the summer, right? In terms of how they're going to build a squad and who's going to be available for those opening weeks of the season. Because, it can't be a surprise that some of the teams that our players are involved in, could go far in this particular tournament. So, yeah, a tricky one. But apart from that, there really doesn't seem to be much happening from an Arsenal point of view. So I guess we should talk about some World Cup stuff, right?
Yeah, why not?
Cape Verde do it again. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, that was pretty extraordinary.
That's crazy. It was on overnight, so I didn't see it. And I'd obviously seen what had happened with Curacao the previous night, where they got a draw. Their goalkeeper made 15 saves in the game, which is apparently equaling a record. Tim Howard has the record, but he made 16 saves. But that game went to extra time, I think.
That's right.
But go on.
No, I was going to say, yeah, it's the normal time record.
The normal time, or at least equal that normal time record, I think. But what an amazing result for Curacao, who drew against. You should know this. You're the World Cup guy.
Uruguay.
No.
Oh, no, sorry. That was Cape Verde. I do sometimes get the smaller nations confused. Curacao drew against Ecuador.
Piero Hincapie's Ecuador, indeed. That's a huge result. And I was sort of thinking, wow, imagine if Cape Verde could go and do something again. You didn't really expect them to be able to do it after what they did against Spain, right? You're thinking that is just remarkable. That's an incredible achievement for a tiny nation to hold Spain to a 0-0 draw. Then they score first against Uruguay, go 2-1 down, and then find a goal. Well, a bit of help from the Uruguayan goalkeeper who went a bit Fabianski, I think you might say.
He did go AWOL. It was still a very nice finish, I think.
Yeah.
And their first goal, again, I think the keeper might be a bit disappointed, but it's like a 35-yard free kick. So, yeah, that's a brilliant result for them. And Curacao obviously getting their point against Ecuador. There's been some nice... upset is maybe too strong, but certainly some very creditable draws earned by some of the supposed World Cup minnows.
Yeah. there's Cape
even
Verde.
Iran holding Belgium yesterday.
Yeah. By the way, there's Cape Verde flags all over here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we've got a Dublin guy playing for Cape Verde. You know the story.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure the LinkedIn thing, which we talked about on the last Arsecast, but he's from just down the road here in Dublin. There's like big Cape Verde flags down the road over in the park. There's a football club called Lourdes Celtic, I think maybe he played for them when he was a kid or something because he grew up
Right.
around here. They've got a big Cape Verde flag hanging up the front of the clubhouse there. So I think, by virtue of, default, I guess, many Irish people are adopting Cape Verde as their World Cup team, at which point it'll probably all go wrong. But there you go. It's fun while it's happening.
That's good.
Yeah.
I keep thinking I'm seeing, like, every bar has got the sort of flag bunting for the World Cup.
Yeah.
And I keep thinking Ireland are in the World Cup because when you see the Côte d'Ivoire flag hung,
Yes.
you can't tell which way round it is. And you're like, Ireland.
Yes.
And then you're like,
But not. Not.
but not. But they are flying the flag.
They are indeed.
For your nation.
Orange, white, and green as opposed to green, white, and orange. So, yeah.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, they were very cruelly beaten late on against Turkey. I think last time I was on, I was talking about how the German public kind of have been calling for Undav to get some minutes, and he came on to score twice to turn it around for Germany against Ivory Coast.
A late winner.
Oh, yes.
What?
I know what I wanted to ask you. I was curious about your opinion on the Almiron sending off for Paraguay.
Well, it's provided one of my favorite moments of the World Cup so far, when the referee went over to have a look and then delivered his verdict, and this is how it came out.
After review, number 10, Paraguay, cover his mouth. Decision is red card.
Fucking love that, man. I'm not, you know me, I'm not like big on the idea that referees should be announcing their decisions. I think it's a bit razzmatazz.
I think
or whatever.
that guy should, though.
But
he should announce all the decisions.
That's what I'm saying. If we could just get that guy to do all of them. He reminds me, do you remember there was like a cartoon back in the early days of the internet? I think the dude was called Strong Bad, and he just sounds a little bit like that. Red card.
After review. Yeah, it's really good.
So I love that. I love that sort of delivery of the verdict. Of the incident itself, I've seen quite a bit of discussion about this, and people saying it's a bit harsh to get sent off for that. But what I think is clear is that this rule was put in place before the World Cup. Did it have to do with the guy? Was it Vinicius Jr. that he said something to earlier in the season? I can't remember the guy's name.
I don't know. I'm not sure if it was tied to a specific incident or just a general trend.
But anyway, it was clear that if you cover your mouth and say something to an opponent, that you're going to get a red card, right?
Yes, and I forget the wording, but it specify something like in a confrontational moment or setting. Like you can still talk to a teammate behind your hand or what have you, or have a casual interaction, I believe.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean the idea that you could get sent off for saying something from behind your hand, I mean I do see that it might be considered harsh, right? Because some of the stuff players get away with on a football pitch, bad tackles that don't get punished, and this is in that sense quite innocuous. But I think the very simple thing to do is don't cover your mouth when you're talking to an opponent. I mean, because he got grassed up as well. It was Miguel Almiron, formerly of Newcastle, and he did it, and the dude ran over to the referee and was like, hey, look what he did. And then he got sent off. So he got snitched up. But he shouldn't have done it, because the rule is there. And I think they were always going to enforce that rule because it's so particular and so specific that unless you make players fully aware that this is a rule that's going to be enforced completely from the start, no wishy-washy, you might get a yellow card here, you might get a talking to there. I just think he was really stupid to do. I've got no idea what he said, by the way. Don't think anybody does.
What language?
Yeah. But I think the simple answer is just don't do that. And I get it. In the pantheon of things that players can get sent off for in a game, it's very minimal. But it's clear also. So just don't do it. So
yeah, I agree.
I mean, what do you think?
I think. Well, I think, of course, it appears incredibly harsh, and I think that would always have been the case in whoever was the first to fall foul of it, you know. And I don't want to see players sent off for that regularly. Like, I really hope that the football world is kind of smart enough to see this case study and cotton on and be like, we won't do that anymore. But I think, and I don't think anyone, to be fair, from Turkey or, you know, from the squad or anything, has come out and accused Almiron of saying anything particularly untoward. I've certainly not heard that publicly, that what he said was appalling or anything like that. But I think if it prohibits people from having the opportunity to say something that is racially abusive or about somebody's family or, you know, just in some way not appropriate, then I think it's a good law. And, you know, I've had people say to me like, well, what about trash talk? That's part of the game. And I'm like, you can trash talk still. Like, you can say pretty much anything you like. Just don't cover your mouth.
Yeah,
and if
exactly.
you think it's bad enough that it needs to be covered, you probably shouldn't be saying it.
That's exactly it. You know, players mouth off at each other all the time, you know.
Will we see a rise in ventriloquist footballers? Do you know what I mean? Guys who like specialize in saying the mouth.
Yeah, maybe. What did he say? I didn't say a thing. It was that guy over there.
Yeah.
I got a leg here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. These are the dark arts, guys.
Absolutely.
Mikel Arteta's got them all practicing with their ventriloquist dummies at London Colney already.
Yeah. That'll be a fun development for the season ahead, for sure. Listen, there was always going to be somebody who was silly enough not to remember the rule, but I'm sure they've been made aware now, you know, after seeing that the rule is going to be enforced, and that guy's going to come and go, red card, every time it happens. Then, yeah, I don't know if we'll see it again in this tournament. But then again, you can never underestimate how stupid some footballers are.
No, quite. Do you have like an early hunch in the tournament, an early favourite or front runner, or a team that you particularly have enjoyed so far?
I think, you know, maybe I spoke about this in the week, but, you know, the France forward line would scare any team, I think, and cause any team problems. You know, once they sort of get over the, you know, the fact Didier Deschamps wants to sort of nullify them at every opportunity, it seems, and once they sort of play with a bit of gay abandon, if you like, they come to life. I think they've been good. I think there's something about Germany as well, and you mentioned this last week, you know, that it's Germany in the World Cup. I met some German guys on Friday in Dublin. I was going into the shops. We were out having a couple of beers. I was getting a couple of things in the shops, and there were some German guys in the off license, and they said to me, they liked my shirt, and they asked me where I got my shirt. And they were wearing their...
What was the shirt?
It was just like a kind of slightly beachy Hawaiian type shirt type thing.
Okay.
Which I got in Los Angeles last year, a year before, I can't remember. But it's got kind of flowers and shit on it. And it was nice summer's evening. So he was very nice. He said he liked my shirt. But then he asked me, like, do you know where we can watch this game with other Germans? And I was like, I actually don't, to be honest. I don't know that we have, like, Little Munich here in Dublin. I don't know where the German quarter is, you know? But maybe if you go to that bar next door, there'll probably be a few lads. So I think they were all right. But yeah, there's something inevitable about Germany in the World Cup. So I think maybe them. Netherlands had a big win, didn't they, against Sweden?
Oh, yeah.
Not a good night for Victor Gyökeres and his pals, but Netherlands... they were very clinical and very efficient with the chances that they had. And I thought this was quite an interesting game because I was watching this one on Saturday evening, I think it was. And Netherlands went 2-0 up very early. Brian Brobby with the 2 goals. And then there was a hydration break, an ad break. You know, we should call them for what they are, ad breaks. There was an ad break, and the momentum completely changed again in this game. And it's happened more than once where Netherlands were completely on top. After the ad break, Sweden were much, much better. Obviously, they couldn't do much with it, but I just think it's interesting the way that, you know, players keep getting asked about it, and I haven't really heard too many good answers from the players. I think Mbappe was asked about it, and he said, you shouldn't ask us players. You know, we're all very, you know, changeable or whatever it was. Virgil van Dijk, I think, said, no, these are not good. We don't like this.
Yeah.
But
Bielsa was good. I don't know if you saw Bielsa's quotes.
No, I didn't see that. I mean, I saw Saka being asked about it as well, and he just sort of said, nah, I'm not going to answer that. But I think as a player, it must be madly frustrating to be on top in a game of football and to be dominating that game, and for no good reason, really. That game is stopped and you have to just like stand around for 3 minutes because it takes 20 seconds to have a drink of water or whatever, you know, they're drinking, whatever power drinks or whatever stuff they drink. And then you sort of give up that advantage that you've had to work really hard to get in the first place, right? Because it's not easy to sort of get on top in a game of football and stay on top. And then when you are on top, you want to use that momentum to score more goals and to make the game safe or, you know, make it more difficult for the opposition. And then because of fucking FIFA and Gianni Infantino and certain TV stations wanting ad breaks, you're sort of back to square one. I think I don't really understand why the players aren't speaking out about it more.
Yes, I referenced Bielsa's quotes. He said, playing 4 periods instead of 2 alters the culturally constructed conception of how to interpret football. In my view, it adds nothing and takes away a lot. When the match was divided into 4 periods, no thought was given to the effect it might have on what makes football such a captivating sport, but instead to other repercussions, which I'm neither discussing nor analysing. I'm saying that before this decision, football had one characteristic, and now it has a different one. I'm saying that people fall in love with the game because of its characteristics. So
he was
pretty
absolutely right. Yeah, I mean, that's good. That's good. I think there needs to be, you know, not just me and you and other people sitting on their podcast talking about what a load of old bullshit it is. I think it does need to come from people like Bielsa and from the players themselves. And, you know, for people who actually do love the game, to not let this become something that is more and more, what's the word I'm looking for? It just, becomes part of how football operates. Yeah, normalized, exactly. Yeah. You know, I think
and it's really one of those moments, by the way, Andrew, that sort of does cause me to kind of reflect on Arsene and his association with FIFA. And you sort of, I find myself asking, where's he in this? You know, because he is actually a man of some influence in these discussions. So I'd like to think that he'd be sort of putting his head above the parapet. But
well, I mean,
regrettably, as far as I'm aware, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't. And I think, you know, somebody at FIFA with the stature that he has and the intelligence that he has and the influence that his words would have, I think it's a shame that he's been silent on something like this. Because, again, to make the point, we can all recognize that if players are playing in like ridiculous heat, 30 degrees, 35 degrees with like high humidity, it's like important for them to get a hydration break, right? That is important. But for it to be mandated regardless of the weather, whether the stadium is indoors, whether it's got air conditioning, whether it's 20 degrees or raining, you're still having these 3-minute breaks. And that's where the bullshit is. What I think has been a very interesting development over the course of the tournament is that these breaks are now being booed from within the stadiums, which is great. Like, what else can fans do, really? because fans are there to support their team and to watch their team play the game of football that we all know and that we all love, which is 45 fucking minutes a half. And then you have a break, So for fans to sort of start showing their displeasure, I think is really, really important. And I hope it continues, and I hope more people who are in a position to speak out about it continue to speak out about it or start speaking out about it.
Yeah, I totally agree. I'm very worried about it kind of proliferating from here and being part of other competitions too. I'll just finish this kind of World Cup section, by the way, with a little anecdote. You remind, when you spoke about those German fans saying, where can we watch the game with Germans? When Mexico played their second group stage game, a few of us went down to a neighborhood called Pilsen in Chicago, which is like historically a sort of big immigrant region, big Mexican population there. And we watched the game in like a little cash-only bar. And when I arrived, there were no seats. Like my friends had seats, but there were no seats. And basically a local family were like, come sit with us. Because they were sort of amused by the novelty of this incredibly English guy walking in. And they were so friendly and warm and welcoming. And they gave me free food and told me everywhere I've got to go in Chicago. And Mexico won as well, which was great. And it was a bit of a party in there. Excellent. And it was just one of those moments where you're like, for all the negativity, like that is really what, for me, being at or part of or watching a World Cup is about. And sort of being swept up in that, and the sort of openness and welcoming spirit is like, I think it's pretty unique to like the group stage of an international tournament. I think that is the time where that's really about. Well, everyone's still involved, everyone's still on board. So yeah, that was a really good night. I had a great time.
No, that's cool. I mean, I think we said that last week as well, didn't we? Some of the scenes of the fans, and it sort of reminds you of what it should be about. For all the sort of off-field nonsense and the bald evil man who is doing his best to wreck the game. I don't mean you.
Yeah, thank you.
Sorry,
I appreciate that.
Sorry,
he's given bald men a bad name.
That's true. That's true. I don't know. What do we do about that? Do we have
no choice but to get the hair transplant.
That's it. No,
he leaves us no option, Andrew.
We're off to Turkey.
Yeah,
we'll be back in a few weeks.
Gather the Patreon money. We are leaving,
and we're going to come back looking like Fabio.
Exactly.
All right. Well, look, why don't we take a little break here? We've got some questions and stuff, so we'll take a short break here. A hydration break, maybe, we'll take here, and we'll be back with your questions and more in part 2 right after this. This hydration break is brought to you by water. When you're thirsty, you know what you need? A glass of water, maybe even a bottle of water, or if you're from medieval times, a goblet of water. Just get some water. Welcome back to the Arsecast Extra. This is part 2 of the show where we answer the questions that you sent to us on Blue Sky at gunnarblog.bsky.social and at arseblog.com. Also on the Arseblog Discord chat server, which you get access to if you are an Arseblog member on Patreon. It is slim pickings a little bit today, James. It's fair to say there isn't really a great deal going on from an Arsenal perspective. Most of the stuff is going on around the World Cup, and there isn't really a lot going on, generally speaking, in the transfer market yet because of the World Cup. So we'll do our best with what we've got, and we thank all of you as ever for taking the time to send in your questions, however you chose to send them in. Do you want to go first, or will I go first, or?
I'll go first. Yeah,
okay.
Thank you for the questions. It does help, and people have had to be a bit creative today, which is sometimes a good thing, I think. So Hall Mike 88 on our Discord said, with the prices of Tonali and Anderson, Elliot Anderson, that is, now appearing to be around 100 million and 120 million respectively, are we entering the point where you need to start looking outside the Premier League in terms of buying players? Because Premier League teams are charging each other way too much money for their players.
I mean, I guess it depends how much money you've got to spend first.
Yeah, I mean, they are steep prices on those two.
They are. I mean, I think 100 million for Tonali is absurd. Good player, but, we talked about him maybe last week, and I'm just not 100% convinced on him. I like Anderson, but I just, 120 million, 130 million it could end up being. Is he the new Declan Rice? Don't know. Good player, but Man City can afford to spend that. That's the reality of Manchester City, right?
And he's English, and there's always been that tax.
For sure.
I think although we obviously reflect on Declan Rice as an incredible signing, I think there was an element of that in his acquisition as well. But and Arsenal liked Tonali. Arsenal have really liked Tonali, but not at that price.
No.
I think if it had been 60 million, there was probably a conversation to be had. But as it is, I think Spurs are leading the way, which, tells its own story.
It really does.
They found someone who'll pay 100 million.
Fucking hell.
And I think City are looking at him as well. But I don't think Arsenal will go near that kind of price. Anderson, it's sort of a unique situation where he is English, where both Manchester clubs like him as well. And a bit like with Rice, that's kind of pushed the price up, the competition. But it does raise some interesting questions about the Premier League. We know Mikel Arteta loves to buy Premier League. That's the thing. But it does come at a cost.
It does. But your money would go further if you spent it elsewhere. But I mean, we talked about the Greek lad last week, Christos Solis, and you're looking at 40 million, 35 million for a 24-year-old from the Belgian league. So maybe it's reflective of a market in general rather than just the Premier League, or maybe it is a case that Premier League teams have to pay more because they've got more money than anyone else. But I do think it might be worth, if you've got the contacts, if you've got the scouting, if you've got the eye for talent from elsewhere, it does feel like, we could do with one or two of those kinds of signings, right? A player from a, I don't want to say smaller league, but certainly a league where there isn't that premium, there isn't that tax of a player being English as well. But I guess we'll see when the market starts moving. What is the going rate? We talked about it last year, didn't we, with Madueke? That similar players went for sort of similar prices. You know what I mean? Where who was in the conversation? Maybe Anthony Elanga, was he one of those? Was in that kind of conversation around that sort of 40 to 50 million for a speedy winger with minimal end product? That's kind of what you were paying.
I think, Elanga was one of those names. Trying to think who else was in the conversation. I think people talked about Semenyo at that time, although he didn't move in that window. But there were one or two others who went that summer. Oh, maybe Gittins went to Chelsea, similar kind of price level. But it's interesting comparing the leagues. I mean, look, United have signed a midfielder called Ederson this summer. He's ended up being called up for the Brazil squad. Came on for them the other day. I think he's joined from Atalanta, who have a good, reputation for player production. They've paid £35 million, from Serie A. And I don't think he's at the level quite of a Tonali or an Anderson, but it does show you, I think, there is a differential across the leagues in terms of what's expected to be paid.
I mean, based on what you're hearing from afar, obviously, is that an area of focus for Andrea Berta and the recruitment team, and maybe even Mikel Arteta, where he already has lots of established Premier League talent. And that may be the way to sort of be smart about this summer, unless a big opportunity comes along in Premier League terms, and I can't really think of who that is or who that player might be, then you are probably going to have to look at Spain, at France, at Brazil, at South America, somewhere in Eastern Europe perhaps, to try and find that little bit of talent that other people aren't really looking at.
Well, I think that conversation between Andrea Berta and Mikel Arteta will have some echoes of last summer's conversation where, Alexander Isak moved within the Premier League, but at an incredibly high price. And the conversation had to be, it's feasible that Arsenal could do that, but it would be at the expense of several other deals. And Arsenal ultimately went for a player from the Portuguese league that was considerably cheaper, but allowed them to strengthen the squad in other areas. And I think probably a similar conversation will be had this summer. I mean, in terms of a Premier League opportunity, and I do think there are potential ramifications here, the one that everybody's talking about is Morgan Rogers. And my slight worry on that is that Aston Villa will look at a price for Sandro Tonali or Elliot Anderson and adjust their sights accordingly. If Sandro Tonali is £100 million player, what is Morgan Rogers?
Yeah. Or why wouldn't Villa look for more?
Yeah.
If that's where the bar is. Yeah.
So that's a little bit of like something that I'm like, if the market in England inflates sufficiently, does that make him, is he still attractive at that kind of price? If you're talking about a fee considerably in excess of £100 million, that's a lot of money at that point in time.
It sure is. What about this? Do you have
you go.
Well, we've one from JMO here on Blue Sky, drjimmyp.bsky.social. And he says, in his opinion, Arteta would clearly upgrade on Eze, Rogers, and Gyökeres with Alvarez if he could, and he is sufficiently ruthless to do so. Being realistic, however, is it remotely possible that one or both of those players leave this summer despite only signing 12 months ago?
Yeah, and interesting in the light of some slightly spurious reporting from Spain of a potential Gyökeres-Alvarez swap. Not something I have heard, I must say. I've seen it mooted by fans, but not something I've sort of credibly sourced. Do I see either of those players leaving? Honestly, no, I don't. I think they've both signed long-term contracts. I don't think that Rodgers is necessarily perceived as an upgrade or replacement for Eze. I think it would be a compliment, probably. I just don't see a buyer. I don't see a situation where either of those players leave so soon. I think ultimately they both played a significant part in the run-in, and I'm actually kind of curious to see where they go with us next season and what we're able to extract from them after that initial year of adaptation. What do you think?
No, I can't see either of them leaving, and I'm not sure that, like you say, Rodgers is an upgrade on Eze per se. I think it is about adding something to the squad in a different area of the pitch. But there was a question, another question on strikers. Comes from, Harigovind SM on the Discord. And he says, assuming we do the right business at left wing, how comfortable are you going into next season if we don't buy a striker? Are we still one big Kai injury away from achieving all we want to achieve? And the reason I sort of picked this question out was because I'm expecting Gabriel Jesus to move, to leave. I know he's been saying, I want to stay and fight for my place and see out my contract, blah, blah, blah. My guess is that Arsenal would be keen for him to to move on. If that is the case, and if it is a case that Gabriel Jesus leaves, how are Arsenal going to fill that particular gap, do you think? You know, will it be a signing? Is that where you've got a Gyökeres who's 27, 28, Kai Havertz more or less the same age? Is that maybe where there's space for a young striker like a Krupi, or maybe somebody a bit left of field, more left of field than that? Do you think it's necessary if Gabriel Jesus leaves that Arsenal sign another forward?
Good question. And by the way, on the subject of Brazilian forwards who may or may not leave, I should give a quick shout out to Gabriel Martinelli, who came on for Brazil the other night and had a really, really strong cameo. It was like a good reminder that for all people's frustrations about Gabriel Martinelli, there are certain game states that just really, really suit him. But yeah, if Jesus goes, so we'd have Gyökeres, Havertz. I mean, I guess Trossard becomes your third choice centre forward, but he might also go. And then beyond that, you haven't really got even a senior player. I mean, you know, we've talked about Martinelli as a centre forward, but it's never really come to pass. You're kind of down to two, aren't you, at that point? So yeah, for me, I think that's where I would envisage maybe a younger forward, like you're saying. I'm not even sure if Krupi would be the right profile, because I kind of think he might be too heavy an investment for someone who's basically regarded as a third choice option. Like, I wonder if it's more of a punt on like an 18-year-old.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, you know.
Yeah, like... you know, I'm trying to think of a signing that we've made of that ilk previously. I can only keep thinking of Yaya Sanogo. But you know, like someone who's like a prospect, basically, who can fulfill, I suppose, what was kind of like an Eddie Nketiah role in the squad, you know, for a period of time, where it's like, you are that young, promising forward. Maybe you're going to make it with Arsenal. If you don't, you're a saleable asset who's increased in value. Yeah, I that's kind of what my instinct would be. I think, I mean, again, the price for Alvarez is looking very, very high. Atletico have been resistant to Barca's sort of opening overtures.
For sure.
So I think the likelihood is that we go into next season with Havertz and Gyökeres as the first choice too. But I do think you would probably need to supplement that in some way.
Yeah. Another interesting aspect to how the summer might play out, for sure.
Definitely. What was this question? Tonali. Well, Chagui, I just mentioned him, said Trossard just had a very good game against Iran despite Belgium drawing. How tough is that left-wing discussion this summer for us as fans, but most importantly, internally for the club?
It does feel like it's the area of the pitch where perhaps we're most in need of a refresh, right?
The contract situations tell you that. I think Trossard's expires next summer. I think Martinelli's is currently set to expire next summer, but the club definitely hold an option on that to trigger an extra year. But, you know, when a player is within, option or no option, when a player has got to within 12 months of the end of their contract, decisions have to be taken.
Yeah, I mean, the Trossard one is, you know, in part because of his age as well. You know, he's sort of in the September of his career, I think it's fair to say. You know, when you get to 31, 32 as a forward player, you know, even if you're not like massively dependent on your pace, I think there is a you know, a shelf life, obviously. And if you can get some money for a player of that age, then I guess you're sort of inclined to take it. Martinelli, I mean, yeah, I don't know. Like the Solis guy, maybe comes in and maybe he's a whiz kid and maybe he sort of takes his career to a new level in a way that, you know, some players can do at the age of 24. I think Didier Drogba, for example, was 24 when he came to the Premier League and then really developed into, you know, one of the best strikers around at that point in his career. Maybe Olivier Giroud as well, to an extent, somebody who did go up a level when he came to the Premier League at that sort of age. But I don't really see him sort of coming in and being just developing into like a world-class left winger. And that could be completely wrong about that, but he does feel like a squad signing more than a first name on the team sheet kind of signing, right?
Yeah.
And then it's like, who else is out there? Or, you know, what way are you going to pick your team next season? Will it be Rodgers out on the left sometimes? Will it be Eze out on the left sometimes? Are you going to go get the next Kvaratskhelia, whoever it might be, you know? Is that what they're planning? I don't know. I really don't know. But again, you know, with that sort of forward option that we might need to have, I think it is going to be interesting to see what way they go. I don't have any idea who the player is that we should absolutely be going hell for leather to bring in, you know? I don't know who that is. I guess Arsenal probably have a list of targets and a list of names and stuff, but I don't think there is that outstanding candidate, you know, in like if we got to the end of the season and Antoine Semenyo had stayed at Bournemouth for the whole season, I think that's probably the one everyone will be talking about, but that's off the table for obvious reasons.
No, that's true. And I also think that there's sort of a bit of inertia in the market currently because of the World Cup. And so you kind of wait and see which dominoes fall to an extent as well. But I do think that left wing conversation, I think it does need to be addressed this summer. I think it, you know, obviously there was potential it could be addressed last summer and Arsenal ultimately parked it. What I don't want to see is someone like Leandro Trossard, as much as I think he's been brilliant for us, I don't really want to see him walk away for nothing in 12 months. Like, I'm sure he would be open to that because that would be super lucrative, right? To move as a free agent at that stage of his career. But yeah, and in previous sort of iterations of the Arsenal administration, I could absolutely see that happening. But I think in the current regulatory environment where income generated from football and from player sales is so important in allowing you to spend more, I think you've got to try and take the opportunity to get a fee for him while you can.
Yeah.
And that's not me pushing him to the door because I think he's not a good player. I think he's a really good player. But I just think it's the right time to make that sale.
I mean, is another left-wing addition, is it incumbent on both Trossard and Martinelli going? Like, if Solis is coming in, he's an option, but do you need more than him plus Eze plus Rodgers, or is there something else they can do in terms of how they configure the squad?
I think definitely both could go because if Rodgers were to come, which you know is by no means a guarantee, but I think that would lead to one of him or Eze being seen on the left a bit more frequently. I think Madueke can play left side as well. That was something that was experimented with early in the season,
and then not much
never
more.
Used again.
Yeah, never used again. Yeah,
but like I think that I think it's very possible that both go, but I think Trossard, because of the age, would be the one that I was more actively. If I'm Andrea Berta, I think I'm making more phone calls to people about Trossard.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We will see. What else we got here? Oh, this is just kind of a life advice one. Maybe we'll do that at the end.
Okay.
Eboué doesn't mess around. Will we win the Champions League for the first time next year or the year after?
Next year.
Okay, great.
All right.
I'll put the date in my diary. Where's the final next year?
Madrid. It's in the Metropolitano in Madrid.
Oh, we know that stadium now.
Yeah.
We know it well.
We do.
We've done the dry run. Okay, well, that's good news.
That is good
on
news.
That front.
Danny Nick 8 says, how much have you enjoyed Thierry and Zlatan's complete disdain for that cretin, Alexi Lalas?
Yeah, this is a fascinating psychological drama playing out on Fox.
Hang on. I just want to make sure that this is not going to be another sort of Chris Sutton moment where, you might have to run into Alexi Lalas and deal with the consequences of that. There was a really good piece in the Guardian. I think I linked to it today in the blog today by a guy called Aaron Timms, and he's talking about Thierry and the sort of the punditry and the analysis that he's bringing to Fox Sports this summer, which is in stark contrast to what Lalas himself is providing. This is a really, really well-written piece. So go to the blog today at arseblog.com and you'll find a link to that in there.
I must say, not to leap to Lalas's defence, because I have no intention of doing so. I do find this particular dynamic a little bit more complex, simply because I also think Zlatan is a cunt. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I understand.
He strikes me as a sociopath. So, I get it, and I think he's probably the lesser of the two evils here. But I don't think I'll ever be Team Zlatan.
No,
Let's put it like that.
I know where you're coming from. But I did enjoy the one where Lalas was not there, and they made a joke about it, and Zlatan just turns to the camera and goes, "You're welcome, America." I thought that was...
Yeah. I mean, listen, there's been some funny moments, and there was I saw the lovely clip of them sort of doing keepy uppy in the TV studio.
Yeah.
And, listen, Zlatan's he's an amazing player. There's no doubt about that. And he's an authority on football. But, I think he's also quite toxic. So, it's not a happy camp all round. What about Gary Lineker turning up on ITV? Were you aware of this? This was big news in England.
Vaguely aware of that. But he's doing a thing for Netflix. I think the Rest is Football podcast is on Netflix for the duration of the thing. I haven't watched any, I have to say. I was flicking through Netflix the other night and I saw it there and I was like, no, I won't do that. No. But then, he turned up on ITV, who have apparently a very cool studio in Brooklyn. Is that right? They're in New York. I think BBC are doing their coverage from Manchester.
Salford, until the knockouts, I believe. And then they're getting some people out for the latter stages.
Okay.
But they've been sort of widely mocked for their kind of CG studio and its small table.
Small table. Like, is it actually a small table or is it a CGI small table? One of those sort of green screen, like if people don't know, like those sets, it's just like big green screens and then it's projected. The setting is projected onto them, right? But is the table real or not real? Is it a real small table or is it a fake small table?
I actually don't know. I think it's a real table, hence it being somewhat underwhelming. ITV have clearly spent the whole budget on the studio. They've got this stunning view over Brooklyn. So Gary Lineker, formerly the Mr. BBC, really, wasn't he? Mr. Match of the Day, Mr. World Cup, turned up on ITV to do a spot of punditry.
And to promote his podcast on Netflix, I bet.
Indeed, which he probably wouldn't have been able to do on the BBC anyway. But it was just very surreal. It was like seeing a player holding up the wrong shirt,
Yeah, I get it.
It was an odd sight. But... what about in Ireland? What are you getting on your TV coverage? Are there any pundit wars playing out?
No, I'm not really paying too much attention. There's quite a bit of Connie Kenningham.
Yes.
Well, he's doing some of the commentary. I don't think they have commentator. Well, maybe not. Maybe one commentary team is actually out there, and then I think a lot of them are doing sort of remote commentary. There was a game the other night where the commentator, I can't remember his name, and Connie Kenningham they weren't talking about the game at all. They were just complaining about everything. Just complaining about ad breaks, complaining about camera angles, complaining about the referee, complaining about everything. It was quite tedious, actually, because I connect with many of the complaints, but Jesus Christ. But no, I'm not really watching any of the halftime stuff or any of the post-game stuff or anything like that. So I don't know what's been going on, really.
What soap opera drama is playing out?
I don't think there's anything. I haven't read anything anyway. There's a website that does all that TV stuff. I think it's called balls.ie.
Oh, yes, I'm aware of it.
There doesn't appear to be any sort of pundit wars. No.
I think that's, and quite right too.
Yeah.
We didn't touch on the US, by the way, and their national team.
But they beat Australia 2-0. Yeah.
Yeah, going quite strong. I would point out for balance, they've not yet really played anyone of great note.
Who they play? Paraguay. Yeah, Paraguay. You're really going to upset our Australian listeners with that one.
Well, to be fair, Australia in their first game were excellent, but I was pretty disappointed in their second performance. So we shall see. There's a bit of excitement building here about how far the US might go.
Right. Well, yeah, if it's in your backyard, so to speak.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We are really scraping this barrel. Right?
Yeah, I think so. There's not a lot really going on. Kelvin wants to know, why are players reverting back to wired headphones instead of Bluetooth ones? Asking the real questions here now, he says.
I don't know if anyone remembers, because I think I talked about this on a podcast.
Yeah, we talked about this maybe last season. Yeah.
Yeah, I've pivoted back to wired because, and the simple answer is, A, I kept losing the little AirPod thingies, and B, battery life. The Bluetooth connection was just draining my battery all day, and I thought, I've had enough of this.
Yeah.
I've gone back to wired. And somebody told me like a week or two ago that is now a bit of a trend, that young people, of which I am very much no longer one, have reverted to wired.
For battery life?
I don't know for why. I don't know if it's like a fashion thing or...
Don't know. Some leads dangling out of your ears and stuff like that, yeah?
Why are young people using... The things that come up...
No, I don't want to know. No, please don't.
Why are young people using canes, walking sticks, nicotine pouches, subtitles, Viagra,
I think
and wired headphones?
Okay.
What's the deal with white wired headphones making a comeback? It's a sort of throwback aesthetic, apparently.
It's like collecting vinyl,
Right.
That's
Fuck
it.
Me, that makes me feel old. I'm just doing it for practicality. I think that makes me not cool.
And it's not like a reaction to the idea that the Bluetooth, the rays are going from one ear to the other ear, and then 1 multiplied by 1 becomes 17. None of that?
None of that so far.
Okay.
The Bluetooth backlash, this BBC article is calling it.
Okay.
Wow. I think I started something, Andrew. Another thing I've started.
You're incorrigible. What can I say? 1.76 Acres wants to know, who is the dolt who gave Declan Rice a baseball bat? Which apparently is one of the worst pieces of sports equipment you can give somebody with a bad back. And why haven't they been sacked immediately? If they're part of our coaching or media team. Well, wouldn't they be part of the England coaching or media team? It was Eze and Rice. Rice was flinging a baseball at Eze. I saw a little clip of that during the round.
Yeah, didn't Eze release the bat when he hit it or something?
Yeah, it went up in the air. Yeah. And it...
feels quite dangerous, potentially.
It hit Thomas Tuchel right smack in the middle of the forehead.
Well, that's him.
That's him.
Out
Done
of
now.
The next game. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're being forced to do all sorts of insane promo stuff. It's when they have to start doing that during the hydration breaks that we should worry.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, there was a thing with England where the assistant manager gave ITV an interview at half-time. Did you see that?
No. Who is the England assistant manager? Is it one of Thomas Tuchel's buddies, or is it?
Yeah, he's a Scouse guy. England assistant manager. What is his name? I wasn't stupid. It's Anthony Barry.
Right. Wasn't he famous? Is he English or Irish? Is he Irish in some way? Because I remember reading some stories about him. Okay.
Pretty sure he's from... Oh, he was part of the Irish setup. You're right.
Yeah, I knew there was a connection.
He worked under Roberto Martinez with Belgium, and he was in Stephen Kenny's Irish coaching team, which he combined with a role at Chelsea.
Bloody hell.
But yes, he gave an interview at half-time, and I believe is going to continue to do so throughout the tournament.
They always seem very pointless,
Yeah, I think apparently he was quite forthright. He was quite sort of critical of the team. Let's see if that continues. Hopefully not, because that means they're doing very badly.
England playing tomorrow, of course.
England play tomorrow against Ghana.
And
today, Fox have gone big on Haaland, Messi and Mbappe all play today.
Right. But not against each other all at the same time. In a cracking game of 3 and in. Exactly.
No, not that. Okay. The race for the Golden Boot, though.
Yes.
Hots up.
Okay.
So yeah, that's what we're looking at today.
Right.
Right, I'm going to give you this question that's not about football.
Okay, all right, sure. Let's do that, and then we'll get out of here. Yeah, we have.
This is from Dylan. He says, read the discussion on the last pod about conversations on flights. I'm currently cycling across the US.
Oh, fuck. That must take ages.
Yeah. And on the second day, a very nice woman and I decided to team up for the foreseeable future. I've now reached the point that I'd like to travel alone. Nothing personal, just introvertedness kicking in. But I don't know how to tell her I wish to do this. What do I do? Also, should we put in a bid for Bergvall?
What do you do? I mean, you could do the thing that they do in the Tour de France, where they're all booting along together, right? And then the guy says, fuck this, I'm going to go way faster than everybody else. And he sprints off and gets a big gap. And then you just sort of take a different route than you discussed previously. But then again, you're leaving this woman, who I presume is also cycling across the US, all on her own, which is, maybe a little bit dangerous for that woman.
I think he's just got no choice but to be faster. You know what I mean? He's just got to pedal away from her.
Be faster or get married. Get married to her.
He's got to use it as his motivation. Like every time he sees her in his rearview mirror, if you have those on bikes, he's just got to accelerate away.
Yeah.
Like, let her chase him. But, I mean, it feels like a rom-com, to be honest.
Yeah, she's just legging it after him.
Yeah.
She stops
when
off.
Harry cycled across America with Sally.
Yeah. She stops off at Lance Armstrong's house and gets a few, special pills. And
she's on the blood spinning, right? And then
it's like that new movie that's out, Obsession. You know that one where the guy, and then she's just nonstop. However fast he goes, she just speeds up alongside him. Hi there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Keep us up to date, though, Dylan. I feel like this could be the start of a beautiful adventure.
Or a very long one, because I just Googled how long does it take to cycle across the US? And bearing in mind, of course, that the AI answer from Google could be a load of shit, because, quite often they are.
Of course.
It says cycling across the United States typically takes 8 to 12 weeks. That's a lot.
Wow.
That's
longer than this World Cup.
That's
I was worried about being stuck on a plane for 9 hours with somebody. This really puts that in perspective.
Yeah, it does. All right. That's
good luck.
That's an awkward one, but good luck. Yes, either go really, really fast, or just incredibly slow. Just say, my bike is stuck in first gear. I can't go any faster than this. Doing that one where, you're like pedaling really, really fast, but you're still not going.
Yeah.
And just go.
That one. Yeah. That's quite fun.
You go on ahead. Don't worry about me. No, please. I can't be holding you up. Please, you go on and get to wherever it is you're going. I wonder which side he's going from. Is he going from like east to west or west to east?
Left to right, I think.
Left to right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would be my guess.
I mean, that's the way I would go. That's the way I'd go, I have to say.
What an auspicious 700th podcast we have produced here.
Amazing. The quality never
Fitting.
dips. Never dips. That's
so consistent.
So what's your week like? Just, more TV stuff? You're not flying back to the UK for an hour and then flying back to Chicago
this
or anything?
Time, no. I've taken pity on the ozone layer and will remain in America for the next 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks.
Right.
Wow.
Well, at some point in those 4 weeks, you're going to have the deep dish pizza. So,
Exactly. That's the hook that keeps people coming back to the podcast.
Mm-hmm. I hope so. I hope so.
Yeah, I'm going to go and do the show now, and then I'm going to watch some games. France, Iraq, Norway, Senegal.
Beautiful. Beautiful stuff. I might watch a bit of the football. What game is on early today? Argentina versus Austria.
Mm-hmm.
Arnautovic, the Lidl Ibrahimovic, is going to be playing for Austria against Lionel Messi and his chums. So I might watch a bit of that. But it's warm.
Yeah.
The sun's out. I might also just go out in the back garden and, grill up a couple of steaks and sit there and read my book. So who knows? We'll see.
Lovely. Sounds good, man. Well, enjoy it.
I will do my best, and you enjoy yourself this week before we talk to you obviously next week. And to everybody, thank you for being here. Thank you for still being here if you've got this far. We really do appreciate it on days like this. We'll have something for you later in the week, but for now, take it easy, folks, and we will catch you on the next one.
Bye-bye.